Today we're going to talk about the whole PewDiePie situation. There's been a lot of controversy going on about PewDiePie recently, and I just want to give my opinion on it as a YouTuber and as someone who is also in a Disney network. If you're watching this video, I'm going to assume you at least have a little bit of an idea of what's going on. Maybe you've read some headlines, maybe you've read some articles, maybe you've seen the videos, but PewDiePie is being accused of being an anti-Semite right now. He's being accused of hating Jews because of some videos that were made. Disney has dropped him from their network, and YouTube has canceled Scare PewDiePie Season 2. So a lot of big things have happened. It really sucks for a lot of people, and I feel bad for the people involved. And it is a really complicated issue. Personally, I feel like this wouldn't even be an issue at all if it wasn't for one video that PewDiePie made. He made a video about a website called Fiverr where you can pay someone $5 or more to do something for you. It could be make you a logo, it could be, draw you as a cartoon character, etc., etc. And there's a lifestyle, a fun and lifestyle section, and PewDiePie went to that section in his videos, and he basically trolled some people on Fiverr. He wrote out some stupid things to some people, and one of the things he did was he hired a couple jungle boys, as they call themselves or something. They'll dance around and sing for you, they'll laugh for you, a bunch of things. So he hired them to dance around and laugh and hold up a sign. And he wrote "Death to All Jews" as the sign that they were supposed to hold up, and "Subscribe to Keemstar" is what they were supposed to say. So he didn't expect them to actually do it, but they did it. They came out with their sign and they danced around, and he was really surprised by it. And after he watched that video, he did say he was sorry right away and that he didn't expect him to do it. But unfortunately, they did do it, and that caused a huge controversy. And, the guys on Fiverr, they got their account banned. He also had Jesus Christ on Fiverr do a little bit for him, and that wasn't even offensive or anything, but Jesus also got his account banned. So a lot of people were affected by this stuff, and now even more people have been affected. That's the general story, but PewDiePie's also made other Nazi jokes, and then the Wall Street Journal, they came out with an article. 3 guys from the Wall Street Journal made an article highlighting the 9 times that PewDiePie made anti-Semitic jokes in his videos. There was a point where he was sitting down with a soldier costume on, watching a Hitler speech, and I think in that video, he was actually talking about how the media takes things out of context. And I personally think that context is important, but there are lines that you have to draw when it comes to this stuff as well. I made a tweet, and let me just go over this tweet just so you can understand the points that I made. This was just after the whole story broke and, Disney dropped PewDiePie and things like that. This is what I said. Did PewDiePie make edgy/distasteful jokes? Yeah. Is Disney wrong to cut ties? No. Is Felix a bad person? Absolutely not. Now, obviously, those are my opinions, okay? But let me just talk about them a little bit. When it comes to the jokes, guys, yes, he did make some distasteful jokes. I do personally think they were just jokes, and I don't think they reflect on who he is as a person, but he did make them. In terms of Disney cutting ties with him, I think when it comes to a company, you have to do what's best for your company, and Disney is a huge company. Now, if this was just a YouTube video and nobody was talking about it, as they weren't until this article was written, it wouldn't have been a big deal, and Disney wouldn't have done what they did because, take iDubbbz, for example. He's really offensive. He says things that would be considered racist, and they're just jokes. It's satire and such. And if that got into the mainstream media, I think it would be a similar situation. And personally, I think that's something that might happen in the future. After this whole PewDiePie thing, I feel like the mainstream media is probably gonna, make more articles about YouTubers, because when it comes to being offensive and when it comes to Nazis and things like that, it's a big deal right now, okay? I'm sure you've heard people compare Trump to Hitler. You've compared Trump supporters to Nazis and such like that. It's a really big deal right now. It's a really controversial issue. And the fact that the mainstream media reported on it, it's a very different situation for Disney. And as I said, Disney is a huge company, and they have to do what's best for their company. And you can make the argument, oh, PewDiePie is going to make you millions of dollars, but at the end of the day, a company reputation is probably the most important thing. And I think that Disney basically just did it purely from a business standpoint because they really didn't have much of a choice. They had basically 2 choices in this situation. If you get contacted by Wall Street Journal saying, hey, someone in your network, the biggest YouTuber on YouTube, is making Nazi jokes, anti-Semitic jokes, how do you feel about this? What's your opinion? Disney either has to say, we're okay with that, it's just a joke, etc., or they have to say, you know what, that's too much, we're going to cut ties with PewDiePie. And if they actually came out and said, oh, we're not going to drop PewDiePie and it's not a big deal and we stand with PewDiePie or something, which I would never expect Disney to do, that would be reported by the mainstream media. That would be all over the news. Basically, there would be articles and headlines would say, Disney stands with anti-Semitic YouTuber, or Disney defends anti-Semitic post by YouTuber. Basically, Disney is a Nazi sympathizer would be what the mainstream media says. So when you consider that, I really don't think that Disney made a bad move there. I think that that was just something that any business would probably do in that situation just to cover their own ass. But in terms of Felix as a person, I don't think he's a bad guy at all. He's raised a ton of money for charity. I've met him a bunch of times. He's always been super nice. He's been really nice to me on like Twitter and things like that. And I know that could all be a facade, let's say, but I don't have any real evidence that shows that PewDiePie actually believes in the things that he says in his videos and does in his videos. And you can argue however you want about the impact that these videos can have on people, because there is going to be an impact. People are going to repeat what's said in videos. And, whatever happens, people are probably going to, repeat it. When you have an audience that big, you're going to have a subsection of the audience who latches on to whatever you do. When it comes to YouTubers as personalities, I don't think you should conflate the personality with the person. If a person on YouTube says or does a certain thing, they're probably doing it for views. Just the same way that the Wall Street Journal will write an article and they'll make it as shocking as possible because they want views. YouTube and the internet has shown people that it's no longer about getting people to enjoy your content. It's about getting people to click on your content. And I'm not going to necessarily attack the Wall Street Journal for what they did, but you do have to admit that when it comes to media, they're doing the same thing that YouTubers do. If you want people to watch your video, you have to make it as interesting as possible, as shocking as possible even, just like PewDiePie did with that video he made on Fiverr. I mean, that was a shocking video, and a lot of people watched that video because it was shocking. The jokes were offensive, but at the end of the day, they were just jokes. Does that mean that he shouldn't have been dropped by his network? Not necessarily, because even though they were just jokes, people will take jokes the wrong way all the time, and everyone's going to have an opinion about it. And if you have the media reporting on it and saying that somebody is anti-Semitic, and people just read headlines, you're going to have people who sit down. They're going to sit down. They're going to browse the internet, and they're going to say, can't believe PewDiePie hates Jews. That's a big deal. I don't like that guy anymore. You're going to get things like that. You're going to get people who make their opinions on things just based on what they read on a headline or in an article or whatever. So when it comes to the media, when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to anything, make sure you have the full story. Make sure you do your own research on things, because it is very easy for the waters to get muddy and for people to be misled, whether it's by media or YouTube or whatever. So do your own research, figure out things for yourself. Okay? There is one more thing I wanted to talk about, and that is the Jacksepticeye video. Jacksepticeye made a video on the whole situation. Jack is really good friends with Felix, and he basically said what I said. He said they were bad jokes, that it was fair game for Disney to drop PewDiePie from the network if they wanted to do it, and that Felix isn't a bad guy. But, of course, there's a lot of people saying that Jack threw Felix under the bus. Drama Alert is saying it, and a lot of people are angry about it. Jack has said that he regrets putting up the video because of some of the things he said kind of came across in a certain way that he didn't want him to. And I don't think he's wrong to say what he said. I mean, there is no really throwing someone under the bus. It's already happened. It was all Felix. Nobody else was involved in the jokes that Felix made besides for him and his editor or whatever. So, Jack has no reason to kind of defend PewDiePie, because what happened. PewDiePie said he made a mistake and that he was going to work on it in the future. And honestly, that's good enough for me. So whatever your opinion is fine. If you want to discuss it, go for it in the comments and tell me if you disagree or agree with something that I said. I'm just talking off the top of my head here. And that's just how I kind of interpreted the whole situation. I don't think Felix is a bad guy, but I don't necessarily think that he should have made the jokes that he made. Is that fair? I think that's fair. Thanks for watching.